just barely catches it. Now Limon is going to try and overtake on Fonseca. Fonseca gives that one up, almost a little too wide there for Limon. Holds tough and sending it deep around the banking, and Shell Oil, he's going to take the spot back. Fonseca, that was a brilliant move. This is full drift here from the Japanese driver. Watch this. Unreal. That car should not be still going. That is just seat of your pants stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just kind of landed a little bit wrong for him, but fortunately, at least pointed in the right direction. This was crazy, though.
And hasn't been shaken, but man, they see close to that wall.
Look at it. Look at the oversteer. He looks to the inside. Michael tried to cover off. He's going to squeeze him down a little bit. Tries to open up the corner. Cut back and see if he can get the launch, and it's much quicker off. Oh, but he covers him down to the inside.
Oh my goodness, covers him down to the inside. I think there may have been a little bit of contact there, but Michael Johnson going to get the benefit of the draft here. You can see him closing down on the back of the 79. And there's the late move from Michael going down to the inside, trying to get into the braking zone.
The red mist is up for these two, and down into the braking. Can Johnson get it done? Yes, he does. Don't count out Travis. Tries to cut back. Goes the long way around. Nothing doing. No, he holds tight. He could try and get it in there. No, now he starts to fall back.
Starts to fall back, gonna try to send it a little bit on the outside of 15. Sometimes you can get a crossover there, but not gonna work. He's gonna have a wider line now into Turkey to try to carry a little bit more speed, but he's not gonna find an easy way to try to get on by. And indeed, Michael Johnson just slides that car off the apex a little bit to prevent off any attack.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
It's time to crown a champion. Over 9 rounds of racing, we've seen rises and falls, the best of times and the worst of times. But 2 drivers have risen to the challenge, and best of all, they're going head-to-head with 1 race to go. It's time to get hyped for the 10th and final round of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello everyone, I'm Reese Gardner. With me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Closing out 2022 Season 2 is Charlotte Motor Speedway, a place that should be well known to any stock car fan. Let's see what the drivers are up against.
Welcome everybody to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Even though it was built more than 4 decades ago, drivers still love to race at this 1.5-mile quad-shaped oval. Located just a short 13-mile drive from downtown, Charlotte also shares a similar track shape to what you would see at the Texas Motor Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. Despite turns 1 and 2 having the same banking as turns 3 and 4, the 2 ends of the speedway could not drive any different. Turn 1 and 2 are much more of a sweeping corner, really carrying the speed down into the corner and trying to get that hole shot out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Turns 3 and 4 drive much tighter than 1 and 2, really having to get the car to rotate in the middle of 3 and 4 to make your entry and your exit point. Getting a lap in around here in one piece usually requires some calm nerves and a patient foot. Charlotte was one of the first speedways to install lights around the facility, giving night racing a whole new berth. Charlotte is also known for its place in the perfect day of racing every Memorial Day, acting as the caboose after the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indianapolis 500. If Daytona is the pinnacle of NASCAR racing, then Charlotte has to be just a bumper behind. Fans flock to the largest sports facility in the Southeast and NASCAR's home track. This has been our guide to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Chris, Charlotte is an absolutely legendary place. It's one of the crown jewels of the stock car calendar. Been around since the late 1950s, and it's always a pleasure to see the drivers come here.
Yeah, this track is really the mecca of NASCAR tracks. I mean, it's right there in the home most of the teams, and it's a fun little track. These 1.5 miles have put on just a great show all season long, and I don't see this one stopping today. There's multiple grooves that you can run on. This track does race a little narrower than some of the other tracks we've been on, so look for that to possibly cause some issues for these drivers. But otherwise, I think we're in for a great show. Lots of 2 and 3 wide racing.
Yep, let's certainly hope so. This is going to be a fantastic race here tonight, and certainly 85 laps is going to provide a lot of action in this broadcast, which is brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebutkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with the risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
This is the stage that has been set for Charlotte in the Drivers' Championship. Richard Regan Jr. taking the win last time out at Texas. Bradley Holly only finishing 5th. He's lost the championship lead. Richard Regan only 2 points ahead of the reigning champion of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. If Bradley Holly gets pole position in the qualifying session tonight, they will be dead equal on points going into the race. It's 2 bonus points for pole position, but certainly there's also a bunch of positions ready to be worked out in the middle of the top 10, particularly between Adam Zemke and Danny Cervantes. 7th place for Cervantes. He only trails Zemke by 3 points. If he can get a good result here at Charlotte, should be able to secure that, Chris.
Yeah, it's amazing what a hot run for Regan has been able to do. He now takes over the championship lead coming into this race, and 2 points is basically nothing. So we're going to have a real heads-up duking it out for the championship between these two, and I'm very excited to see it.
As am I. In terms of the team standings, well, Waterback is certainly the team to be in if you want to be at the top. Overdrive, Back Row, and Next Level Racing taking the top 3 places. Car Ramrod on their own a little bit there in 4th place, but have a look at how close it is between SGE Esports and Riding Shotgun Motorsports Rangers. That is going to be a heck of a battle to think about there, Chris.
Yeah, there's still several positions here that are up for grabs, and obviously the team championship is a combined effort between a lot of drivers, so everyone out there still in play. But what a season for Waterback. I mean, it is insane. Just all 3 of the top spots pretty much locked up going into the final race, and that's a huge accomplishment for that squad.
Yeah, they have a lot to be proud of this season. Well, here's how they're going to be conducting themselves tonight. 85 laps around Charlotte Motor Speedway. The default race length for a 1.5 mile oval with 4 total tyre sets. The one you start on and 3 more after that. So be careful about when you come in for those fresh tyres, which carry a lot of pace benefit at the start of the stint in these trucks. If you get involved in a wreck, you're going to have to get those repairs done manually in the pits. There's no spare truck, but all drivers are running the same settings, so they all have the same things to deal with. Got to keep an eye out for that 24 incident limit as well.
Yeah, that is a very good point here with the championships on the line, and a narrow track compared to what we've been seeing the last few weeks. That could definitely play a role if you get into the wall a few too many times.
Certainly could. Well, the Liqui Moly machine of Richard Regan Jr. He's running a special livery here for the final round of the championship, and it certainly looks lovely out there, resplendent in the red, white, and blue. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. I'm usually used to seeing him in a bright yellow and black machine, but hey, it's a pretty fantastic look that Regan has come out with for the round in which he hopes to take the driver's title.
Yeah, it is Memorial Day weekend coming up here in the U.S., and I'm going to see a lot of patriotic schemes out there, but it does definitely confuse us up in the commentary booth when the drivers come out with a completely different look.
Drivers getting their final few laps in practice. We were just taking a look at Adam Zemke there, 6th in the championship. He'll want a good result here tonight, as will Nicholas Hunter here. He got a fantastic result last time out at Texas, a top 10 finish with his brother Austin. Fantastic stuff there from the Hunters, as we see a little bit of a sample of the side-by-side racing we could potentially go for here tonight. Again, as you mentioned, Chris, it's a very narrow track here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so it does seem to me like the inside line is where you want to be if you want to make a move. Nonetheless, as it is a high-banked oval with those ramps, I guess you could say, onto the back and front stretches, sometimes if you're on the outside at the exit, you can get a little bit of extra momentum.
Yeah, you can get a huge run off the corners, and that can definitely help you set up for the next turn and even get you ahead of somebody if you're running side by side.
Number 48, Thomas Sink. He is currently in 3rd place in the championship coming into this round, and it's going to be a bit difficult for him to overcome the results that Regan and Holly have managed to do. It's certainly going to be a tough job, but we know that Thomas Sink, P4 in the championship, I should say, my mistake, it's certainly going to be difficult for him to overcome the necessary gaps there. Jeff Evans currently in third place, and a bit of space between them, so unless there's a terrible result for Evans, Sink might just have to settle for fourth. We're in qualifying now at the moment, and the drivers each have 2 laps over the next 5 minutes to stake their claim for pole position. The fastest driver in practice was Bradley Holly. Richard Regan Jr. could only manage third, with Danny Cervantes in second in practice. So that gives you a bit of a clue as to what the front of the field will look like. And of course, we are racing into the night here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's currently just past 8:30 in the evening, virtual standard time, and the track is looking nice and cool. 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, with a 76 Fahrenheit air temperature, and not much wind to deal with either, so they should be nice and grippy for those 2 qualifying laps.
Yeah, and you can see Adam Young there running right up against the wall, trying to get as much momentum as possible to get that truck up to speed as we continue into qualifying here, waiting for the first couple times to come across the line here.
Coming through the quad oval here at Charlotte, and it's not the original layout of the circuit. It used to be a simple oval shape when it first opened, but a few years into its existence it was modified with that quad oval front stretch. Austin Hunter running the fastest time so far, 30.6. It was 30.3s that we saw in practice with the assistance of the draft. It'll be interesting to see how quick the top drivers in the field go as Skip Gandy puts himself into 5th. What about Adam Young then? His first time across the line. It's going to be a 30, and it's going to be a 30.4 there for Adam Young. Mark Kalin goes a little bit faster though, puts himself into provisional pole. Austin Hunter puts himself P3 as things stand. Oh, Dylan Schmidt just getting into the wall a little bit there, coming onto the back stretch. I think that lap might be invalidated.
Well, that could be a small blessing in disguise. I mean, you probably don't want the lap that you hit the wall, but that is also going to only give you one chance to get a good time in, so there's pros and cons of that one.
So Mr. Schmidt running a little bit high there in the turn. It looks like he's pulled out of that one. He's going to have to settle for at least 11th place at the moment as the times continue to flow in. A bit more than half the field have put their times in for now. Number 54, Ricky Barbary, a driver who has had great potential for good results here this year in PRL. He's missed out, though, on maintaining those good results towards the end of a race. Currently in 12th place and looking to improve. Looks like a nice, clean run onto the backstretch.
Yeah, very clean run down into turn 3. And you can see he's running towards the center of the track. Once he gets to the middle of the corner, kind of diamonds it off, gets to the line, then he'll go back out towards the wall and then hit something resembling an apex there in the middle of the quad front stretch.
Barbary goes to 8th and then 9th as Jim Westerfield puts his truck in the number 35 and 2P7. 184, Bradley Holly is out on the circuit and starting his first lap once again. Another one of the drivers running a special Memorial Day weekend paint scheme here as Richard Regan Jr. goes fastest, 30.335, just 0.05 of a second ahead of Jeff Evans. What can Bradley Holly do to respond to this? It looked like a clean lap, 30.5 on the first lap. Looks like the second one will potentially be faster here for Bradley Holly. Currently only P12. He cannot afford to make a mistake on this lap. It's a nice smooth run onto the backstretch out of turn 2, but Chris, out of turn 4, the transition is quite harsh, so there's a lot of potential there to make a mistake. Let's see how Holly handles it. Nice and smooth, as it seems, and it's going to be a 30.398 for Bradley Holly on his second lap. So Our two championship protagonists are first and third with under 20 seconds to go in the qualifying session. Adam Zemke still wanting to put a time in, but I don't think he's going to get 2 laps in. It's a 30.7 for his first lap, and that's 23rd place. Only 5 seconds left in the session, and it's going to be a hard cut to go into the race. So Zemke has got it all to fight for. He definitely stands a chance of losing that 6th place in the championship to Danny Cervantes if that qualifying result is anything to go by. But anything can happen in NASCAR, and to paraphrase Murray Walker, in a Formula One sense, it usually does. Let's go through the grid then for the final round of 2022 Season 2. Richard Regan Jr. starts on the front row with Jeff Evans, with Bradley Holly second in the championship, starting behind the P1 position. Thomas Sink in 4th. Danny Cervantes and Mike Witt on the 3rd row of the grid. It's CM Pennington and Skip Gandy in 7th and 8th. Great qualifying performances for both of those drivers. Mark Kalin in 9th, and Adam Young rounds out the top 10.
All right, coming in just outside of the top 10 as the graphic pops up on the screen here, it's Jim Westerfield in 11th, Austin Hunter to his outside. Row number 7 will be Ricky Barbary and Eric Papineau, followed by Colton Lane and Zach Panzarella in row number 8. Charles Sumner will start 17th over Jose Medina. Then Dalton Geyer and Baron Hilton complete your top 20 starters.
Ryan Traver puts the 28 into 21st place, with Dylan Schmidt starting alongside, Adam Zemke in 23rd alongside Nicholas Hunter, Adam Shane and Garrett Austin, the last drivers to set qualifying times, James Dewar not qualifying and taking up the 27th and final spot on the grid. Oh boy, this is going to be a really tense final round here, with Richard Regan Jr. getting pole position. He's earned 2 extra points, so his lead over Bradley Holly is now 4 points. So now for Holly, the question is keeping himself up the front and hoping that Richard makes a mistake. The points format in this series, it's 42 points for a win, and then it's -1 point for every position thereafter. So you finish second, you get 41. You finish third, you get 40. So basically, I think what Bradley Holly's going to want here, ideally, is if he wins and Richard Regan Jr. finishes about 6th or lower.
Yeah, and that's the run Richard Regan's been on the last few weeks. That's a pretty tall task for Bradley to hope for. I mean, Richard has just been next level the last few races, just clocking off the wins, and has got himself right up at the top of the charts.
And if by some miracle they end up equal on points at the end of the race, Richard Regan Jr. would win on countback. He has 1 more win than Bradley Holly. But then if Holly wins, they'd have 5 wins each. So there's a lot of complexities to work out in terms of these points. Basically, it's a question of if Regan finishes ahead of Holly, he has got the title wrapped up. Holly needs to have Regan at least 5 positions behind him no matter where he finishes. So the stage has been set, and now all the players will come out and recite their lines. Hopefully they've rehearsed properly. The pace car jumps in. Richard Regan Jr. will line it up now for the best launch possible as the green flag flies. And we are racing at Charlotte one final time here in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. It's a very good start from Regan. Looks like Holly is keeping him honest, getting up the inside of Jeff Evans in turn 2. So now it's Regan and Holly, 1 and 2 in the championship and 1 and 2 in the race. Bit of a tight exit for Holly though, because he wasn't quite clear of Jeff Evans. Regan can put his truck wherever he likes. There's still a bit of too wide going on in the midfield, but this is where the battle is at the front at the moment. What can Bradley Holly do to try and clear Jeff Evans? He is stuck down there.
Yeah, Evans is giving Holly fits right now, and looks like that's bringing in a couple others with the 48 of Thomas Sink joining in as well. That 51 machine of Evans, throwback to the old Jeff Gordon T-Rex car that was literally so fast they banned it after one All-Star race. So a really cool throwback on the side of the 51.
Very nice indeed. Always good to see when drivers come out with special liveries for races. First 2 laps completed, and don't forget, fastest lap of the race earns a bonus point as well. Currently, that goes to Richard Regan Jr., 30.6 up at the front of the field, and almost everyone has worked themselves out into single file as things stand. Really, the only side-by-side running is happening towards the rear of the field. But this top 4, this is going to be quite the difficult task here for Richard Regan Jr. Bradley Holly shadowing him as they begin lap 4. Jeff Evans snatches the fastest lap away.
And keep in mind, the draft can play a role here on these 1.5 mile tracks, especially if you get a nice toe down the back straightaway. I think that may have been what gave Jeff Evans the edge there for fastest lap. And that would just be perfect if we spend all this time focusing on those 2 for the championship, and it doesn't even end up being either of them with fastest lap.
Yeah, indeed. You also get a bonus point for leading the most laps, also for just leading any old lap in the race. So currently Regan has that points advantage, as well as the 51 of Evans had to let Thomas Sink go there in turns 1 and 2. Looked like an ever so slight mistake there for Jeff. Sink was able to get up his inside. Danny Cervantes still holding on there in 5th place. But it looks like a nice clean run between our top 2 at the moment. Holly is keeping Regan very honest, but there's no banzai moves here, especially at the start of an 85 lap race. You don't want to be throwing it up the inside willy-nilly.
No, especially with the championship on the line. You don't want to push the limit too hard too early and end up taking yourself out of the race.
Holly's keeping it tight on the exits of these corners. Things have really closed up between these 3 at the top. In fact, even these 4 or 5 with Cervantes right on the back of them now. And 6th on back is starting to gain as well. Witt, Gandy, Pennington and Kalen. Pretty much everyone in the top 10 sharing the same piece of racetrack at the moment. Regan is going to be driving the wheels off that truck, trying his best to keep ahead of Holly, but we do have to think about the tyres as always, Chris. These trucks, they burn through the rubber very fast at the start of a stint, but by the time you're 20 laps in or so, you're looking at about a 2nd drop in lap time.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. Just taking a look at the times, Reese. We're 8 laps into this race. These guys have already lost about a ½ second from what their best lap was in this race on fresh rubber. So taking that into account, the drop-off is going to be pretty steep the deeper we get into this run. Ooh, got somebody pushing wide there. They're going to be 3 wide off of turn 4. And that can be a little darty. Looks like Mark Kalen comes out okay, but it's the 20 machinist Skip Andy that's going to lose out on that one.
Yep, just went a little high there, did Gandy. He's going to have to stay high here for Eric Papineau. Get that position sorted out. Side by side, continuing just up ahead there between Adam Young and Kalen for 8th and 9th position. And Kalen running the high line does seem like he's got the pace sorted there, using the ramp off the top of the banking to try and clear Adam Young. He's just on the verge of doing it there as we ride on board with Kalen. Texas Terry over his shoulder and watching over him, it seems, because he's getting that momentum in the middle of the corner. He has cleared Adam Young and he is free to pursue CM Pennington, who's had almost a season best qualifying result. Dips up the inside. Kalen trying his best here to make up positions. Things are going pretty good for him.
Yeah, Kalen's been a man on the move here in the early going.
Well, up into 8th place now after losing a couple of positions in the opening laps. Have a look at this. This is the battle for 7th on back on a wide shot, and it looks like some positions being sorted there between Westerfield, Young, Hunter and Papineau. That's 9th to 12th we were taking a look at there, on board with Adam Young. He's got Westerfield to his outside and the 312 trying to follow him through on the high line.
Yeah, this is a great view here. Looks like Adam running multiple monitors here to get a look at things, and laser focused as we watch him sawing away at the wheel. I think one of his best qualifying performances of the season was here tonight, and he's backing it up right now, running pretty well into the top 10.
These guys are letting the top 6 get away from them, though, with all this side-by-side running. They're losing quite a bit of time to the tune of about 2 or 3 tenths a lap. It looks to me like Kalen has managed to clear them all, so he can start potentially driving forward. But it's going to be a tough task to accomplish with the draft not being very strong from that far back. Looks to me like Young maybe struggling for a little bit of grip there in the front, but he has cleared CM Pennington. Now Papineau trying to line up Pennington. This is a dangerous place to be. If there's one false move, there could be a caution on the cards. It's just amazing watching these drivers make their way through these really intense battles.
I just noticed the 44 Pennington had a pretty cool looking one-off livery on the side of that car too. Or truck. That's a truck.
Yes, indeed. We definitely say thanks to you guys as well, Austin Hunter. It's been a fantastic series, this. And we look forward to seeing where it goes in the future here as, oh man, number 20 Skip Gandy still fighting with CM Pennington. They qualified next to each other coming into this race and still fighting over these positions, but they're both down 4 on where they started. Seems tyre management not their strongest point as, oh, have a look at the 98 of Charles Sumner. Man, not as much Tropicana on that number 98, but certainly still one of the most eye-catching trucks in the field as he tries to make his way up the inside of Pennington. And oh goodness, he has to check it up a little bit on the bottom, leaves himself open to an attack from Colton Lane and Adam Zemke. Zemke's up 7 now. He's the driver with the most positions gained in the field along with James Dewar. So it looks like Sumner has cleared them as there's contact. There we go. Colton Lane and CM Pennington come together. And we stay green for the time being. Looks like Pennington has managed to keep it rolling forward. That was a very good save there from the 44.
Well, that was a little bit of him, a little bit of the wall that did it for him. The tail end started to go around. Luckily, I think luckily is the right word in this situation. He slid up the track, tagged the wall, and that turned him straight. So he was able to keep going.
Well, at least he's still able to roll forward in this race, CM Pennington. That could have been a big crash. We'll get another view of it here. Lane entered a little bit high there in turns 3 and 4, a little bit far up the track. Pennington turned down, thinking that Lane would be a little bit further down the track. And yeah, as you can see, the back quarter of the car hitting the wall there. Back quarter of the truck, sorry. And yes, indeed, moving forward, but carrying some damage now is Pennington, and down in 24th place. Back to the lead, meanwhile. Hasn't been much of a change here. It's still Holly trailing Regan, but Holly going high here, potentially trying to look after his tyres.
Yeah, Holly's kind of settled in to second place, and as we mentioned a few times before, he is a real master at race management. But that being said, Richard Regan Jr. has been on another level the last half of this season, so not sure how much of it is Holly playing his old games and how much of this is Regan just with the raw pace able to hold him off.
At the moment, it looks like Regan with no draft ahead of him also means that there's no aero disturbance, no propensity to understeer for the number 56. So looks like he's been able to look after those front tires a little better. At a track like Charlotte, you do want a nice responsive front end, I would presume. Either way, top four. They've kept themselves nice and clean, but this battle is still ongoing here for 7th on back. There goes Austin Hunter trying to make his way, or Adam Young, sorry, trying to make his way up the inside of Austin Hunter. Catches a little draft from Eric Papineau down on the bottom, but not going to be successful for the time being. Charles Sumner is still working his way forward, up 5 places, and now looking to get around Skip Gandy somehow. Andy, though, keeping his truck nicely ahead. And it looks like Sumner might be facing some pressure here from Adam Zemke, who's still down on the inside. There's no space right there for Zemke to slot into line, but now there is as they come into the turn. But you see how much Sumner just fires the truck into the corner, taking that high line, carrying a little bit more mid-corner speed. He'll be hoping that that translates into a good enough run to get ahead of these guys.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about when we said this track can get very narrow. You have 2 trucks side by side, and this is probably the roomiest part of the track is down here on the back stretch, where you can move around a little bit, but you get into these corners and the groove really narrows up.
Narrows up by quite some margin.
And then here,
Zemke, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention there off at turn 4 when you head into the quad part of the track, it really pinches up.
Yeah, definitely a big pinch point there. Papineau had a go at Mark Kalin, but hasn't worked out for him. He's going to face a challenge from Austin Hunter round the outside. Have a look at the speed that Hunter carries there in the mid-corner with that outside line. Papineau not able to do much to combat that other than having the shortest line around the circuit. Papineau might be looking a little unstable here. We've seen, you know, as Hunter goes a little bit further up from the bottom line, that when it comes to the mid-corner, Papineau just losing a few extra miles an hour.
And that can be a pretty common problem around here, just trying to make the corner, and especially trying to run at the bottom like he is. You got to put so much extra wheel in that sometimes when it grabs, it'll throw the back end around. As we have the 44 of Pennington heading down pit lane. He got into the wall earlier, so maybe looking to get some of that damage fixed up. As we focus back on the battle here, you have Austin Hunter, Skip Gandy, and Adam Zemke battling behind Papineau and Kalin up ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Colton Lane is making himself a part of this battle as well, right on the back there, and keeping Charles Sumner in the fight as well for the last few positions in the top 10. Almost another move there for Eric Papineau, but he got a little unstable, and Zemke gets to the inside now of Skip Gandy. So Skip now down into 11th, Zemke up into the top 10. That's exactly what he wants. He'll be focusing on Danny Cervantes in 4th. He'll be trying to get his way a bit further up when they come into the pit cycle. And considering that we're now just about to get the start of our 30th lap, it's looking like a one-stop under green flag conditions is what we can expect from the drivers here in these cool nighttime conditions. Papineau still trying to get up the inside of Kalin, and it looks like Zemke has managed to get up the inside of Hunter as well. Gandy trying his best to keep Sumner behind him, Sumner and Lane, but Zemke moves up into 9th as they begin the 30th lap of this 85-lap race.
You know, this is this battle right here is kind of reflective of what the points championship has been like. in that portion of the battle. I mean, these guys are all just so close to each other. One slip up and any one of them could fall back. And we have our first caution.
Okay. Well, here we go then. Not too sure what ended up causing that caution. Looks like Nicholas Hunter was the driver who brought that out, and seems to me that CM Pennington coming out of the pits ended up getting Hunter crossed up there. Bit of a difference in pace. Hunter was trying to find a way past, and the truck just went on him.
Well, that's a tough break for Nick there. No, he was looking to end his season on a high note, and unfortunately does not appear to be that way.
Big shame there for Nicholas Hunter, but this is going to definitely set things up for a pit stop for everyone else, waiting for pit road to open as they come behind the iRacing pace car. So the running order being Richard Regan Jr., Bradley Holly, Thomas Sink, Danny Cervantes, and Jeff Evans. Your top 5 as everyone checks up here behind the pace car. Now, I'd be surprised if anyone decides to stay out at this point. You see them all making their way into the pit lane. It's going to be a battle of the pit crews now.
That's right. We have 2 of the best on pit lane there right in the front. But with some strategery here, this could be an opportunity for Holly to possibly leapfrog Regan here.
Yeah, if something does go wrong for Regan, then Holly will definitely slip through to take the lead. But everyone jumping in for 4 tyres. And I would presume that taking 2 tyres would be a very brave decision, to be polite. Let's see then who gets the best time off pit road. It looks like Regan has got it once again, but Cervantes has moved up into 3rd there. Excellent job there from Danny. Comparing pit stops. Go on, Chris.
I was going to say not too much change at the front with the top 2, but Danny Cervantes being up there in the mix, I think, could really throw these 2 for a curve.
Certainly could. Looking down the field at the pit stop times, looks to me like the quickest stop time was Adam Young in 14th, 14.4 seconds stopped in the lane, but certainly the best cone-to-cone time, which is what really counts, goes to Richard Regan Jr., 36.7 seconds from the entry of pit lane to the exit, and that is what helped him versus Bradley Holly. But they're going to form back up here and get ready for another green flag run. It's come at a pretty good time, this caution. It means that if we stay green to the end, then the drivers are going to have to get into tyre conservation mode. And we know from past experience, that's where Bradley Holly is among the strongest in the field.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And Holly could very well take advantage of this position that he's in here and use the momentum to get back around Regan, or get around Regan, I should say, and possibly get some laps led under his belt.
Well, as things stand, Richard Regan, champion-elect at the moment. Holly is going to have to hope for a miracle here. Number 1, get into the lead. Number 2, hope that Regan falls back outside the top 6. Otherwise, that is going to be the title lost for the 184. But there's still plenty of this race to go, and anything can happen. Pace car lights are still on. We're going to have another lap here before we go to green again. Let's take a look at who were the biggest gainers and losers here in this first phase of the race. Adam Zemke and James Dewar both up 12 positions. Zemke in 11th, Dewar in 15th. Most positions lost, unfortunately, goes to Jim Westerfield. He is down 10 as we see Eric Papineau coming into the pits for a second time.
Yeah, not sure what that strategy move may be in relation to, but looks like the field is attempting to get formed up here.
Got Westerfield and Lane also in for a second stop here. Maybe they're hoping that those extra couple of laps, younger tyres will work out for them in the end. Maybe they'll be hoping for another caution too to make up more places. Well, lights are out on the pace car, and we can form back into 2 wide. Cervantes could definitely be a thorn in the side of Holly and Regan as they get this race back underway. Right then, exit of turn 4. We wait for the pace car to dip down into the pit lane. Most of the field has managed to form up here. And now it will all come down to Richard Regan's throttle application once more. Will Holly be able to shadow him? Looks like Regan goes a bit early there, catches Holly by surprise as the green flag flies, and leads by a couple of truck lengths as they cross the line to start lap 36. Cervantes having to cover off a bit of a fight here from Thomas Sink, who's trying round the outside. And Bradley Holly will be hoping that he can get the pace up quick sharp and get back up to the rear end of Richard Regan Jr.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like a suboptimal start there for Holly in the 184.
Suboptimal for sure. But have a look at that battling that's going on behind. Looks like the cautions immediately come back out, and it looks like Austin Hunter having some issues there on the front stretch. And oh dear, going back to look at that, tires still being cold. There was no contact involved. It looked like Austin just lost it on his own.
Well, tough day for the Hunter brothers.
That it is. We'll see it here. So Hunter gets loose on the high line and ends up getting into the wall, getting a big tap as well on his way down to the bottom of the circuit, and pushes back up onto the racetrack. And of course that automatically brought out the iRacing caution. So picking up a little bit of damage there potentially was Ricky Barbary, though he might have just gotten away with it.
Yeah, we had a relatively clean race here in the first 30-some laps, but now 2 cautions back-to-back.
And cautions breed cautions, as we all know. So who knows how many more there will be to come. So I don't think anyone is going to be jumping into the pit lane this time around. It was only a couple of laps since those tyres were bolted onto the trucks. Now, I think it's just a case of waiting for the green flag to fly again. But I think we might potentially see some drivers from the back of the field coming in. Maybe. I think at this stage, Chris, it's just not practical to come into the pits again unless you have very heavy damage.
No, we barely got a lap in, it seemed like, before the caution came back out. So I'd say most of these guys are gonna stay on track and just get ready for the restart.
Baron Hilton, the lucky dog, though, he gets to bring his truck around to the back of the field and get back onto the lead lap. Good to see there for Baron, who is down 4 places, hasn't had the best of races so far. He'll have another chance to get that done on the front stretch now as everyone is checked up on the back stretch. So currently, the only truck that is in the only trucks that are in the pits at the moment are the Hunter brothers, Austin and Nicholas. As you said, Chris, very bad luck for the Hunter brothers, but we still have 25 trucks on the track at the moment. CM Pennington, the only one not on the lead lap.
Yeah, we just broke into lap 40 here, so closing in on halfway in this one. And riding out our second caution here. And kind of as expected, our two protagonists in the championship, 1-2 in this race.
That's what we like to see. The battle will continue. But what can Holly do on this restart to try and get ahead of Richard Regan Jr.? Once again, he's going to have to depend on a mistake from the 56, I think.
Yeah, and this the last several weeks, mistakes have not been readily coming from Richard Regan.
Yeah, he's definitely brought his form up quite a bit. It's been really good. So we shall see how this restart goes for the drivers. And while we're waiting here for the final lap, I suppose we can bring in Austin Hunter, the final lap of the caution, I should say. Austin, not the best of times for you and Nicholas out there. What happened?
I just got a little too overconfident trying to run the outside there, coming on the first lap of the restart, and just completely lost it all on my own. Hopefully that could may have saved some other guys that I crashed into there. But wanted to put a good showing for my GSRC truck, for thanking you guys for 5 seasons or 5 years of great broadcasting. So sorry I let you guys down.
All good, Austin. Thank you very much for that message, and certainly hoping that the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series will continue to provide the best of racing action, because we've seen some brilliant racing here this season.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. It's been an honor to race for y'all and put on such a great show, and I wish y'all the best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much, Austin Hunter, and we'll let you go now, because we're about to get ready for this restart. Coming through the last couple of corners here for Richard Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly. Got to be gentle here on the restart, as Austin Hunter certainly proved when even when the tires have been run in a little bit. It's always difficult on cold tires on a cold track in nighttime conditions when you're racing around Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, pace car in. Richard Regan Jr. now controls the field. When does he decide to go? It's another early getaway for Regan, and once again, Bradley Holly not able to match him there on the restart. Has to block Danny Cervantes to avoid losing even more positions.
Yeah, these restarts are not going the way Holly wants. He has to play defense a lot more than he's been able to play offense. And that allows Regan to get out to a pretty good advantage and have some breathing room here on the restart.
All the breathing room that he needs, as the majority of the field are in single file. Keep it together, everybody. Don't want to see a caution immediately come back out. Regan does seem to have this race under control, doesn't he? Holly is starting to jet up to him, though. But I think, considering what we saw in the first half of the race, Holly is going to sit behind Regan and wait for the last possible moment to try and make that move. Now, we keep ourselves trained on the front of this field, and it's going to be an extra point that Bradley Holly will potentially lose here now, because we are past the halfway point of the race, and Richard Regan has led every lap so far. So he will get that extra point, for the most laps led in this race.
Well, that's not going to make Holly's task any easier, but as we say that, Holly gets a huge run, and he is right to the back bumper of the 56.
Right onto it indeed. Fantastic stuff here between these two. They've been so close all season. Some brilliant drives from both of them. But again, Holly looks like he's not going to be going for any moves, or is he? He sticks it up the inside. Oh, and makes contact with Regan, who saves it. They both slow down. Oh, Regan hasn't recovered it. He's going to spin. That is huge there for the championship. The rest of the top 10 and the rest of the field come piling in. It's a huge, huge crash out there. And that is massively controversial. The two protagonists in this championship coming together.
Well, there has been a couple tense moments between these two in the last several weeks, and unfortunately, looks like nobody was giving any quarter there. And I mean, Holly did give the 56 a chance to gather it back up, but unfortunately, just was not able to keep a grip on it.
And look at the amount of damage on Richard Regan's truck. Could that be the moment that loses him the championship? It's a meatball flag for Richard Regan Jr. He is effectively out of the running. Oh no, Chris. Why did it have to end like this?
Yeah, this is just heartbreaking. You see him gather it back up there, but probably the most difficult part of the track to try to do that at. It was transitioning off of turn 4 and just gets piled into.
Gandy and Sumner were caught up in that, had to take to the infield on the front stretch. Here's the view once again of the contact. Holly goes to the inside, and well, Regan turned down a bit there. I don't know who to assign blame to for that one. Just looked like both drivers going for the same bit of racetrack, but Holly was a little bit alongside Regan at the time.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I'd say the start of that was a racing deal. I mean, you can see Holly's right there, gets to the inside.
And Holly didn't push up.
No, they just came together there. And Holly did give the 56 all the time in the world to get it gathered back up.
Adam Young, oh goodness, did the right thing, got on the brakes and got a whack in the rear and side for his troubles, but kept it on the racetrack crucially. Quite a few trucks with damage as a result of that. So in the pits, Richard Regan Jr., Mike Witt, Thomas Sink, Adam Zemke, Adam Shane, all coming in. And Regan is going to be sat there for quite some time getting all those repairs done. And oh man, considering that he's definitely going to lose a few laps at least here. In fact, he's out of the truck. He's not in it anymore. I think he realizes what the situation is here. He had the championship lead coming into this round. He had that little bit of points advantage over Bradley Holly, but that contact is likely going to result in a retirement for Richard Regan, and that means that Holly is now poised to take the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, you gotta believe the driver 56 is just stewing in disappointment right now. That is definitely not the way you want to end your run.
Certainly not. What a shame. What a shame indeed. And yeah, hearing that Richard Regan Jr. is certainly quite unhappy with the state of play at the moment. A controversial end to this championship, but we still have 38 laps to go here under caution. Now, it's all up to Bradley Holly to try and keep everyone else behind him and take victory here today.
Yeah, with Regan out of it, who pretty much has dominated up to this point. I mean, this is basically a whole new race now.
Yeah, that it is. A whole new race. It's still Waterback at the front of the field, though. And Kalen has worked his way up very nicely, hasn't he? He's now up into 4th place behind Holly, Cervantes, and Evans. I gotta say, though, you know, the incident that happened between Holly and Regan, It's difficult to call as a commentator, because obviously you feel sympathy for the driver who was tapped, but as we saw on the replay, Holly was a little bit alongside Regan, and Regan did come down on Bradley Holly. Not to mention, Holly gave Regan all the time in the world to gather it up. It's just a shame that it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, it definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and I can understand Richard Regan being very frustrated with the way that went, but I mean, it's one of those moments where you can't necessarily, assign blame. You had two guys that were racing for the win and a championship. They're not going to give each other any more room than they have to, and I think it was a very sportsmanlike move for Bradley to give as much space as he did for Richard to try to gather it back up. Just unfortunately, Richard was in a bad spot on the track, and it's no easy task to gather it up in turn 4 here. So just all around a bummer of a situation, but I mean, the run Richard Regan had at the end of this season is definitely something he can still hang his hat on. I mean, he had a tremendous season.
That he did, and he's back out onto the racetrack now, a lap down, still heavily damaged. He's going to try and get as many points as he can as Bradley Holly leads them away here. It's a poor start for Danny Cervantes as the green flag flies. He's potentially going to lose second place here to Jeff Evans, and looks like that is how things are going to work out. Great start for Bradley Holly, who is now trying to jet away from this field as much as possible. Turn on the tyre management, put that hat on, and manage his race to the end. Cervantes trying to come back at Evans for second place. Moves up to the inside, and that's going to be move done for the number 25. Now they're going to have to try and work together to catch up to Holly. Now that there's not much of a threat for Holly to take this championship, they can afford to pressure him a lot more.
Yeah, with the championship part of this pretty much a foregone conclusion, I'd say there's not as much motivation to give the championship runners a wide berth here. I think it's gloves off for Cervantes here as he tries to run down Holly, and he is getting a pretty good run here. Probably wouldn't mind if the 51 got a little closer to his back bumper and gave him a push, though.
Cervantes now well clear of Jeff Evans, and we see that Mark Kalin is up there as well, now trying to pressure Evans. Cervantes has done a very good job of catching up to Bradley Holly, hasn't he? This is going to turn into quite the good race here, with Waterback cars still occupying the top 4 at least. It's going to be quite a fun race to the end if the drivers manage to keep this up. And it looks like battling really going on in groups here through the field. We've got this top 4 fight that have broken away, but 5th on back is looking quite spicy because Colton Lane is still facing off here against Charles Sumner. They got Eric Papineau in there with them, as well as Jim Westerfield. And what a drive it has been from Westerfield. Had to come into the pits twice, losing positions in the first part of the race. Now he is back up into 8th place, and he can certainly be proud of that one. He cannot get the run on Papineau around the outside, though. Let's see what Sumner and Lane end up doing here, because they'll want to try and work together here to catch back up to the top 4. And have a look at this. Bradley Holly coming up to lap Richard Regan Jr. So that's another lap down there for the championship leader going into this round. I mean, he's gotten the minimum damage repaired that he could, but that truck is definitely slow out there on the circuit. What a way for Richard Regan to end his season, and still having to stay high here to let everybody go in the field. Look at the pace difference.
Yeah, it's a great show of perseverance for Regan to get out there and finish the laps, even if I'm sure it's not fun to drive that truck right now, especially that far off the pace. But all the respect in the world to him for coming out and finishing what he started here today.
Yeah, big props indeed. Well, this top three fight with 30 laps to go, now 29 as they cross the line. Danny Cervantes pressuring Bradley Holly, and I think it's going to be a great points haul here for Cervantes. He'll definitely be protecting sixth in the championship from Adam Zemke, who's currently the last car running on the lead lap, down in 21st place. So I think Cervantes has a lot to be happy about here as he's continuing to pile the pressure on his Waterback teammate.
Yeah, he is all over Holly right now, and one of the few drivers that didn't really have to change up their scheme to be more patriotic this weekend, representing the heroes of the U.S. Postal Service, as well as Domino's.
Absolutely. Well, bit of a higher entry for Cervantes that time around, trying to look after the tyres as they come up on more lapped trucks. Nicholas Hunter and Austin Hunter, the two brothers out there running together, but they're going to have to let everybody go here. This is very interesting. Drivers having to thread the needle between them as Nicholas goes down to the apron. That looked a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, that was interesting for sure. I don't blame Nicholas Hunter one bit for trying to just get the heck out of Dodge.
No, thank you. I don't want any of that. As looks like Colton Lane has made up the position on Mark Kalin as a result of all of that shuffling. So very good run here for Colton. Now he is... well, actually, have a look at that. The shuffling that resulted from lapping the Hunters has compressed the entirety of the top 7 here. Cervantes still second behind Holly, but now we've got Evans in third, Sumner in fourth. Charles Sumner could be looking at a podium here. It looks like Holly has managed to get a very good run here over these last couple of laps, gap Cervantes. So potentially the battle is going to be for second on back at this stage. Sumner is really pressuring Jeff Evans. Gave him a couple of bumps on the back stretch that time around and moves up to the top. Ramps off turn 4 to try and get the best run possible through the front stretch. It looks like they've come up to lap Adam Zemke here. Oh, hang on a minute. Evans pushing up the track. He doesn't have anywhere to go, though, because Zemke is right there. Pushes Zemke into the wall. And Lane and Sumner say, thank you very much, sir. We're going to go down to the inside and grab those positions. So now it's Colton Lane in third.
Wow, Colton Lane with a pretty impressive late race charge here.
Up from 15th to 3rd now. Charles Sumner 17th to 4th as Evans still having to face up against people here. He would have gotten a little bit of damage there from the coming together with Zemke, so that truck is not going to be as aerodynamically slick as he would like. Now has moved down behind Jim Westerfield and into 6th place. Have a look at the run from Colton Lane, though. This is fantastic from the number 60. He's really been looking after those tyres. You can see it in the pace difference between these two Chevys as they come into turn 1 and 2. Colton Lane up to 2nd now. Could he even challenge Bradley Holly for the win?
Well, that last lap that they crossed the line, Colton Lane, while racing for position, was about 3/10 quicker than Bradley Holly. So he must have been doing some kind of tire-saving dance or something in that 60 truck, because that thing is moving.
That it is. Don't forget that Colton is one of the drivers who pitted who pitted under the last caution, and 18-lap-old tyres versus 32-lap-old tyres for Bradley Holly. So that shows the kind of pace difference between them as Lane goes for the lead here. Holly couldn't turn down because Lane was right alongside him. And Sumner, don't forget, pitted at the same time as Lane did, so there's a big pace difference in tyres there as they have to negotiate the lap truck of Thomas Sink, who was involved in that big crash when Holly and Regan came together. Holly with a great run on the outside down the back stretch. But Lane, with the fresher tyres, will be able to take that racing line and potentially move ahead when they get to the exit of turn 4. Yes, he does. Moves up. Colton Lane is going to lead another lap here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Colton Lane showing the two-stopper a little bit of love here as he was able to get that extra set of tires, and it has made a huge difference for the 60 machine.
Brilliant stuff there, and it looks like Sumner has gotten by Cervantes as well, up into third place. And, oh, easy, boys. Richard Regan Jr., I think he saw that there were drivers coming up on the outside and the inside. He wasn't quite sure where to go, but almost came together with Bradley Holly again. That's going to be something to watch out for. Got to be careful when you're lapping trucks indeed. But Sumner is dragging Cervantes back up to Holly now, and you see that the pace difference is huge. Holly's tyres are absolutely gone. There's not much he can do to keep these guys behind him for now. Nicholas Hunter letting drivers go there. Still carrying a great deal of damage on that truck. The rear wing is all kinds of messed up. He's going to go down to the apron here to let them all go. As the fighting continues here with Mike Witt in the number 26, trying to keep Zach Panzarella behind him and chase down James Dewar. Don't forget, Dewar was the sole driver who did not qualify for this race. He is now up into 9th. That's a great run.
Yeah, that's no easy task to get up that far, even if you have a quote-unquote advantage of not qualifying and starting maybe around trucks that you'd naturally be faster than. But yeah, that is no small task. And then the tire game coming out to play again. Charles Sumner now challenging Holly. Oh, we got a caution.
Oh dear, is that Thomas Sink? No, it's not. Oh, it is. It's on the back stretch. There's been a problem there for Thomas Sink, and seems that it is contact with CM Pennington as he tried to make his way past the lap truck of Barron Hilton. So we'll see that on the replay very shortly. That is quite a quick pace car there. So here's what happened to Thomas Sink. Chris, talk us through this.
You can see Hilton get out of shape there, and unfortunately causes the 44 to check up, and well, him and the 48 just kind of seemed like they were magnetized to each other there for a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it. We'll get another view of it here. Oh man, that's just a shame. Pennington, well, he was trying his best to avoid the lap truck, and Sink was right there. Just a case of a few trucks sharing the same bit of racetrack and coming together. Well, here we go. Into the pits they all come. And yeah, it looks like the entirety of the top 20 here jumping into the lane. Adam Zemke and CM Pennington staying out. They're on relatively young tyres, but looks to me like Colton Lane wins the race out of pit road, and Bradley Holly will slip back into second, Cervantes back into third, and now they're all on the same age tyres. Let's see what the pace is really like.
Yeah, now we've leveled the playing field here with 14 laps to go, and we'll see what Colton Lane can do to keep Bradley Holly behind him.
This is going to be quite significant for Colton Lane if he can hold on to take this victory. There's only 9 minutes and 30 seconds left on the race timer, so there's a chance that we'll go time certain here if we get another caution. Looks like a few drivers going for another round into the pit lane. In fact, it's going to be drivers who are a lap down or more. Thomas Sink jumps into the lane again. So do Austin and Nicholas Hunter, just trying their best to get a few more repairs done on their trucks, and they'll hopefully be able to take positions if there is an incident in the final few laps of the race. So 13 laps to go. A lap is 30 seconds at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So if we stay green to the end once this caution finishes, we should be able to get all 85 laps in. But if there's another caution, then that's going to become borderline.
Yeah, well, you got to think Colton Lane in the spot he's in wouldn't mind a couple cautions here right off the bat, just to maybe get things closer to the end of this. Less time he's got to try to hold off the world behind him.
Yeah, and it is a very big world behind him of Waterback teammates. Holly, Cervantes, Kalen, Evans, first and foremost among them. We've also got Charles Sumner in there as well in the 98. He's looking for a season best result here. Certainly could be a great run for the Tropicana number 98, but we still have a couple more laps to go under caution. We've got a few lapped trucks to be let by the pace car here. Richard Regan Jr. is the truck right behind the pace car. There's also CM Pennington there as well. So only a couple of trucks that we have to worry about letting go here. But now, when this lap begins, I'm pretty sure that's going to be Richard Regan who is let by the pace car, and we're going to see CM Pennington cleared as well. So we'll get a nice front row start here for Colton Lane and Bradley Holly in the last 12 laps, coming up to the last 11 laps of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series season.
So lights are off. We're going green this time, Reese, and well, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. This has been kind of a crazy race to end the season.
Yeah, there's a lot that's gone on here. We could be looking at a couple of surprise winners if things go right, and of course, big drama between our championship protagonists. What a season it has been. A very exciting one indeed. 2022 Season 2 has been fantastic. I can't wait to see what Seasons 3 and 4 bring, as well as that year-long championship that the PRL runs here in their Oval Racing Series. Now it all comes down to the throttle application from Colton Lane. Will he go early and try to take them all by surprise, or will he wait till the calling of the green flag? He's going to go early. Have a look at that. Brilliant run from Colton Lane off the start. Holly has to duck down low right away to protect from Cervantes. Charles Sumner is right behind them too. They're all bumper to bumper. Sumner side by side now with Kalen, who's trying to get back up into the top 4. This has been a huge change in the top 5 positions of this race. And almost contact between Sumner and Kalen as Colton Lane gets off to a fantastic start. But Holly is firing that truck into the corners, getting a little bit unstable as well. He wants this win back.
Yeah, Holly is really driving the wheels off that truck, but it doesn't look like it's the most fun to drive at this point in the race. And now he's got to contend with Cervantes to his outside. Cervantes going to pull alongside as they come off at 2. Ooh, Holly, an abrupt move there to clear himself in front of the 25. These two are really duking it out for that second spot right now.
And have a look at Sumner. He's still Whoa, Holly! Whoa, my goodness! That was a little bit of a tap from Cervantes potentially, but Holly managed to save it. That's probably the most impressive save I've ever seen on an oval. How on earth did he manage to keep that straight?
It looks like he may have gotten a piece of the apron there that kicked that off, Reese.
Right, okay, so we won't blame any other drivers for the time being. Holly's going to try and make up these places now as we only have 9 laps to go. Side by side with Jeff Evans as Cervantes catches up to Lane, almost another tap, and oh dear, that is a truck slow. That's James Dewar, who suffered some issues on the front stretch, but we stay green in these final 8 laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Cervantes has really caught up to Lane now, and he could potentially go for the lead here into turns 3 and 4. He peeks out to the inside, but he's not far up enough to get the move done. He's going to go a little bit high there, potentially give a chance to Mark Kalin. What a fight for the lead it has been. Bradley Holly is still in contention here, but if we do have a caution, then the race will be over. Cervantes right on the bumper of Colton Lane, and now trying to get the run around the outside, get a little bit of extra momentum, extra little bit of overspeed down the backstretch.
It looked like Cervantes was going for a bit of a crossover there for a second, but Colton Lane shut the door. Here comes Mark Kalin into the picture, as well as Cervantes gets the nose to the inside. They work around the lap trucker. Richard Regan, oh, it's getting really tight there.
Yeah, Lane rubbed the wall there, and he's going to fall outside the top 2 with Mark Kalin now into second. It was a valiant effort there from Colton Lane, but he's going to try and scramble to hold on to the podium as much as he possibly can. Bradley Holly, though, up his inside on the way into turns 3 and 4. Looks like he might just take it, and he does. So Holly, crucially, still in the top 3, trying to get maximum points possible to secure this championship victory. But it's Cervantes who leads the way as they start lap 81. The 3:12, meanwhile, of Austin Hunter down on the apron. He doesn't want a piece of this as they all try and take a little bit out of the apron here.
You know, Reese, I'm actually kind of bummed this race has to end. This has been the gift that keeps on giving. Just when you think you know how this one's going to play out, something has to change. So now Danny Cervantes out front, Mark Kalin second, but Holly, oh, did Bradley get into the wall?
He did. He
sure did.
Oh dear, so he's going to fall outside the top 5 and top 6 as well as Jim Westerfield gets him. With only 4 laps to go, it's all fallen apart for Bradley Holly here at the front of the field, but he'll still have enough points in the bag to take home the Drivers' Championship. So, running order, Cervantes, Kalin, Lane, Sumner, Evans, your top 5. Some fantastic drives we've seen from all of these men, and they have been able to provide a fantastic race here in the final stages. Just coming up on one more lapped truck as Colton Lane tries to keep Charles Sumner a reasonable distance behind him. Lane's going to try and potentially get up into second here if he can have the pace. Looks like he might be afforded a little bit of a chance here with the lap truck of Nicholas Hunter. That caused Kalin to go high, and now Lane has the outside here. Going to get side by side into turn 1, but Sumner sees a chance too here. Only 2 laps to go. This is going to be a fantastic finish here for second on back. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact. The squeeze there as Kalin moved up the circuit. They almost lost it there. Colton Lane still alongside. He's going to have to switch back down to the inside though, I think. Kalin is going to try and defend this second place for all it's worth. White flag for Danny Cervantes at the front of the field. It's still on for second. Will Charles Sumner be able to get into second place here? This is going to be an interesting finish as they make their way past Richard Regan Jr. one more time, still smarting from that incident with Bradley Holly. One more turn to go, at least if you're speaking in a road course sense. It looks like Kalin has the edge here, but oh, it's going to be difficult here as Danny Cervantes comes across the line to take win number 2 in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series and close out the season perfectly. Looks like Kalin and Lane were able to keep those podium positions. And Bradley Holly is going to come across the line in 9th. But he is our champion. Oh dear. All right. A little bit of a coming together after the line for Bradley Holly and Richard Regan Jr. But that's it confirmed, Chris. Bradley Holly is 2022 Season 2 champion, at least with that result on points.
And pretty good season Bradley had there. Really a great battle all season long between him and Richard, but congratulations going out to Danny Cervantes, a well-earned victory here today.
Yeah, he drove brilliantly, did Cervantes in the number 25 as he continues his victory celebrations. We'll go to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. You're watching the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, the final round at Charlotte.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Well, it was drama and controversy to end out the season here in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. It was 5th to 1st for Danny Cervantes. Mark Kalin comes home in 2nd place, with Colton Lane completing the podium in a brilliant drive, worked the cautions and the pit stops perfectly, as did Charles Sumner, who finished in 4th. Jeff Evans will round out the top 5, and Jim Westerfield makes it into 6th. Mike Witt loses 1 place, but still, that's a very consistent drive there for the number 26 to keep himself in the top 10. Eric Papineau in 8th. Bradley Holly started 3rd, finished 9th. With the incident between himself and Richard Regan, that basically means Bradley Holly is your 2022 Season 2 champion. And Zach Panzarella from 16th to 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 was Jose Medina over Skip Gandy. Solid run for Adam Young in 13th over Dalton Geyer. Dylan Schmidt completing the top 15, then Ryan Traver, Garrett Austin, James J. Dewar, and CM Pennington complete your lead lap runners. Adam Zemke in 20th, first truck 1 lap down.
21st was Adam Shane, also a lap down, and there's the big heartbreak story. Richard Regan Jr. Came together with Bradley Holly in a side-by-side incident and got a meatball flag. Had to try and continue to get as many points as possible, but 22nd it will be for him. Baron Hilton in 23rd, and Thomas Sink, late retirement almost, with big heavy damage to him. Austin Hunter and Nicholas Hunter were able to keep it out on the track, but unfortunately Ricky Barbary is our sole retirement from this race. A big shame for Ricky. Started in 13th, could have been a very good result for him. Well, we will start off with our driver interviews, and it's going to be Danny Cervantes we have a chat to first. Danny, congratulations. I think that's your second oval win in the PRL?
Actually, I think I had a couple back before we were on iRacing, but since it's been on iRacing, yeah, it's my second one. But yeah, it's a great win to finish off the season. Hopefully, season 3 can get a similar start.
Certainly. You were competing up the front pretty much the whole way through. You were really pressuring the likes of Bradley Holly, Richard Regan Jr., and the likes of Jeff Evans as well. What do you think made the difference for you?
Honestly, what helped me a lot was the yellow flag pit stop, because both of the stops I made, I gained a spot each. I started the race in 5th, and then after the first stop came in 3rd. And then I got passed by Charles after he short pitted me. And then, once pitted, I came back out again 3rd. Brad got loose on my nose, just in front of me off of my nose. I didn't touch him, I don't think. But from there, rest is history. I think my teammate got the wall a little bit. But from there, I set sail to the finish.
Yeah, set sail you did and pulled into port on time. It was a fantastic drive, Danny. Who do you have to thank for it?
I'd like to thank you guys for giving us these great broadcasts for the past 2 years. All the guys over at Waterback, all the guys at PRL for putting on this great league, and all the fallen men and women for this Memorial Day weekend.
Indeed, we echo that sentiment for sure. That's Danny Cervantes in the number 25, taking victory here in the final round of the season. Second on the road was the number 62 of Mark Kalin, and he is going to have a chat with Chris Phoebe presently.
Well, Mark, you were charging hard there at the end of this race. Tell us about those last few laps for you.
Intense. Trying to hold off Brad, trying to hold off Colton, trying to catch Danny. I think I was just playing too much defense to be able to run down Danny and get that elusive first truck win, but still a solid night for the number 62 truck. And, it was a lot of fun. And had to avoid a big wreck there about halfway through the race, and luckily came out without a scratch and had a good finish.
So as we complete 2022 Season 2, what would you give yourself a rating for how this season went for you?
Probably a 7 out of 10. It's easily been my most successful season so far since joining the iRacing side of the PRL in the NASCAR things, and I believe with this finish I'll move up to 4th in the standings, where I was 3rd for the first half of the season, and had a slight drop down to 7th and was able to work back up to 4th, so I'm very happy with it. Got the team championship with Brad. Of course, he got the driver's championship. So very successful season all around.
Well, definitely nothing wrong with being the tail gunner on that team. Who would you like to thank to help make this season possible for you?
Firstly, you got to thank the Waterback guys. I mean, we work hard every week. I think it shows with a lot of us running up front consistently. They put a lot of effort into me and showing me the ropes. And I want to thank my fiance for her support, my family and friends for their support. I want to thank you guys up in the booth for putting on an awesome broadcast, as always. And then I want to thank the PRL organizers and directors and admins, all those folks that put on these great series. And I look forward to the next season.
All right, that is Mark Kalin, our runner-up finisher here today. Back to you, Reese.
Final driver we're going to have a chat to tonight is 3rd place Colton Lane, and that is a season best result for you, Colton. You must be very happy with how the result ended up going for you, but you definitely had the pace to win there with that call to flick the pit stops around a little.
Yeah, I'd been kind of stuck in the mid pack, and I was just going to save the tires and move up, but we never quite got a long enough run for me to do that. So I tried to do the alternate pit strategy, and we had that caution with about like 55 to go just to try to make it on fuel, and kept on getting more caution. So I pitted one more time for tires right there towards 30 to go, 35 to go, and it worked out for me.
How do you feel about Charlotte and the nighttime conditions? Because it did seem like a lot of drivers were finding the wall there on the outside.
I like it. I mean, I met the wall towards the end of the race because I was pushing as hard as I had the whole race. I never really practiced to run that hard, but it's one of my favorite tracks on the service. I mean, I think it's just about the perfect 1.5 mile oval. I mean, it's kind of what the other ones are based off of, you know. So it's like the golden standard.
Well, ending the season at Charlotte's certainly a fitting one. And how do you think your season has gone? Is there anything you can take forward from this into the rest of 2022?
I mean, I had some rough spots. I need to finish more consistent. That's what bit me last year when we did the season-long playoffs. I didn't get enough bonus points for finishing towards the front, and I didn't do as good as I did last season with that. The last out of 10 races we did, but you know, I led some laps tonight. I finally got another podium finish, so I can take this and try to just be more consistent.
Well, who do you have to thank for your podium, Colton, before we let you go?
I mean, always Waterbeck. I mean, I've been racing with most of these guys for the better part of 3 or 4 years now. I mean, I've been a part of PRL since June of 2016, so I've been here for a long time, and I really like being here. I appreciate what Charles and the guys do to keep it a running league. And then most importantly, you guys, I mean, you've been with us for 3 or 4 years now, something like that, broadcasting this. It's been great every step of the way, and I'm going to be missing you guys.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. Colton Lane, third on the road here in the number 60 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, Chris, that is going to bring to an end proceedings for tonight. The Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series certainly turning it up once again here in this final round.
Yeah, this whole season has been great action start to finish. A lot of great drivers have come through this series the last couple of years, and we're seeing Bradley Holly, as he's done for the last several seasons, ended up with the crown. So a great way to cap off the season here for the PRL trucks.
One more time, we'd like to thank our series sponsors of the Precision Racing League, Advanced SimRacing. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. ButtKicker as well. Feel what you've been missing at thebutkicker.com. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Here at GSRC, we'd like to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp page for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com, all through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next up, we have got the Precision Racing League again on Thursday night, May 26, 8:25 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to find the final round of the Ferrari Fixed Challenge and Formula 3 series. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.